Hello there, and welcome to another episode of For NPCs Walking the Bar. If you're new to the channel, well, this new section is going to be a little bit different. We're going to start summoning international guests to talk about different communities around the globe and different parts of the craft, from DMing to you know creating content, game design, and so on and so forth. On this episode, a local woodcarver looks for a novice of summoner in hopes to strike a bargain with some sort of entity, perhaps an archfey, so he can improve his craft. They walk into a bar, go to the secret summoning room that is there for some reason, and they do a summoning. Being a novice summoner, obviously something goes wrong, and the entity that was supposed to come was not expected one. But a fun surprise. It was somebody known as the Grand Crafter. This is Pimo. He's a content creator. They have a Patreon where they sell and make beautiful papercraft. But hey, I mean, well, why don't you tell us more about it?
So hello, I am female, and
Hi.
I
Hello.
I make papercraft, which I mean, wood, paper. It's kind of the same thing, right?
Yeah.
No, not really.
Similar.
Oh well, I
I mean,
specialize. Uh-huh.
they're both from trees at least. Yeah, I
Exactly.
guess you can make that comparison.
Yeah, the same natural source, the
Yeah.
same forest spirit. So I make paper crafts. That I make papercraft terrain that is, basically terrain that will not destroy your wallet.
Hmm.
Over here where I live, terrain is very difficult to come by, and if you actually get to find a place where they sell it, it's usually very, very expensive because it's
Probably.
exported. Imported over here. So I decided that a good idea would be to make papercraft that you could just print in your computer from your computer and build it yourself and have a lot of pretty terrain for your tabletop games.
That's very cool. And I think that we can leave in the description some links to show the work that you have done already, so people can
Mhm.
get an idea. Because I have seen some pictures, and yeah, it's very well done, and
Thank you.
it really helps get that immersion when you're playing in your table with these kind of these kind of scenery,
Yeah.
all built up for your game. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, continue, please.
I actually got the idea when I was playing my very first Dungeons and Dragons games, where we were in a forest, and my
Mhm.
character was a cat. So cats could usually, climb. It's
Climb
a
up on
cat
trees.
folk, so they can climb on trees. So I was actually, where is the tree? Where is the tree? And they were like, yeah, that is a tree. But it wasn't so immersive. I wasn't very sure if I was
Mhm.
on top or below the tree. So there I was like, no, I need terrain because it was in person. So that's when I said, no, I want terrain, but I don't want to like waste so much money on it. And then what do I do with it? So I kind of started saying maybe something with paper would be a good idea, but I only started doing it like 2 years ago, 1 year ago, something like that, because I actually wanted to know the game well enough because I have only been playing Dungeons and Dragons for like 3 years.
Yeah.
So, and I was
It,
too soon. It was too soon for me. Yeah.
it's never really too soon if you have a good idea,
No.
but at least you have like made the best of it and actually gone ahead and started your business. And
Yeah.
so when you started, you say that you were thinking of the local the local market, because
Yes.
Yeah.
the things that you find where you live are either too expensive, or maybe uh, too hard to make by yourself if you're not a crafter. No, you're not a, a crafts person. um, so that's what how you got your idea. So I was wondering how did that go in your local market, and maybe because I know that you have expanded also to, worldwide.
So
So yeah.
it's super interesting because I actually had my own zone in mind, to be my market. However, my market usually doesn't go for people that aren't super well established. Like they're a
Mhm.
bit more afraid to waste their money. That here where I live in Mexico, people don't have so much spare cash for hobbies, so they usually want to invest it in something that is going to be 100% guaranteed they like it. And they usually don't go for something that is still like it still has like a bit of risk factor, like
Mhm.
patrons and stuff like that.
Hmm.
um, and subscriptions is usually something that they are also don't want to get into, because a lot of people over here don't have like a super set amount of money coming in.
Yeah.
So yeah, I actually have like one or two people that are from my country in my patron, and the rest are just from America. I think I have a few from Australia. I think somebody from the UK, but that's it. Like everybody else is from United States.
Okay, okay. Oh, I think
Uh,
a nice part of also your craft is that you are addressing like a niche. Normal, the classic kind of terrain you found in a store being like molded in plastic. It is more realistic, but yours
Oh yeah.
is really cute. So if you look, so papercraft is also a way to give people a different aesthetic if that is what they are looking for. You're not really going to find like say more cute miniatures out there that I know of at least. So your terrain kinda can take it to that vibe.
Yeah, like I usually found the market that also like other people that also make papercraft terrain. They usually go for realistic, that dark gritty style that a
mhm.
lot of people like, and at a like they relate
Mhm.
with, I guess, from all fantasy tabletops that are a bit more gory and things
Yeah.
that I don't like. So I was like, no, I can uh be different from that. I
Sure.
can, differentiate my brand from that by being something I like more, and that will actually like make me want to make them more. So why not? So I
Yeah.
started making the whole cutesy stuff, and people have had a very good response. They usually say it looks like a video game, and it actually wants they want to play it more, because it's like, oh, I want to do this in kind of like a Mario setting or something, like Zelda and stuff like that, that kind of reminds them when they were like
Yeah.
kids playing video games.
Yeah, I think
That
there is
makes
like
sense.
a Square Enix game that kind of looks like that,
Yeah.
like with modern models.
Yeah, it's one that was announced recently. I've seen it. It's a video game, but the backgrounds and everything
It looks like dioramas. Yeah,
are dioramas. Yeah,
kind of remind me of your work.
yeah. I don't know if you have seen it, but I will look up the name and tell you. Um,
Yeah.
Perhaps leave it
Yeah, well,
down there
yeah,
in
we
the
can also
description,
like leave it in
because I don't remember off the top of my head what it's called,
yeah.
Oh
So
yeah.
but
yeah, we leave it
it's pretty
on
cool.
the information down below as well. Okay, so
Yeah, sure. Could work as
uh,
inspiration for me later on when I'm stuck.
Yeah, maybe, maybe.
or maybe they inspire in your
Yeah.
work.
Yeah,
Okay, so I
Stealing it.
think getting to
Artist sale. No, I'm joking.
okay, so pretty much getting into the actual questions,
Hmm.
both on as far as the international community goes, and you know content creation. So being from Mexico and interacting with a lot of the American community, from what you told us, having
Yeah.
so many patrons that are from the Anglo Saxon side of the world. um what can you tell us about some differences between the two communities that you have, like,
Notice.
yeah, notice or come about?
Well, what I've seen, it's from uh, yeah, from what I've seen, it's usually people that are more like, I feel that because the game has been a bit more popular for longer in United States, people are a bit like, are looking for something different more often.
Hmm.
Like, I've seen a lot of people being very open to changes, recent changes that are having a bit controversial, like
Yeah.
ramps and stuff like that.
Hmm.
Whereas in the Aladdin, actually in Facebook groups and stuff like that, they have been bashing it. Like, they have been
Yeah.
saying it shouldn't be done and it's wrong and everything. Like, there is a good amount of people that actually say it's okay and it's fun, but the general, it's more like, no, this game should is this. Why do you want to do this with the game? It
Hmm.
shouldn't. And I feel it's more because they're not like, they're starting like the whole takeoff over here, and they still like want the whole classic
Yeah.
Yeah.
version, and to digest it and get sick of it first before moving on to something else.
Yeah, so that's interesting because now that you mention it, it makes sense because while it wasn't unheard of here in Latin America, it wasn't unheard of for uh, tabletop RPGs, of course. The communities were much smaller and closed, and they had
Hmm.
their view of things. And usually, when you play for uh, 10, 20 years in a certain way, you don't want that to be changed.
Hmm.
You're a bit more resistant to that change. But
Exactly.
since in the US, perhaps the hobby has existed for a longer time, and it's more popular, um, more people with different mindsets getting the hobby, and they change it from the inside, basically,
Yeah.
not from a perceived outside source
Yeah.
that is like the company imposing stuff on you,
Yeah, that
but
is true too.
organically,
Hmm.
let's say organically. So maybe that's a reason why you have observed that. I don't have a lot of experience playing with people outside of Latin America. I prefer uh, I have always preferred local play and on the table, and that. Of course, with the current situation, we've had to move online, but
Hmm.
um, it's been a learning experience, really.
Okay, yeah. On my side, I have my own theories why,
Hmm.
say the North American community and the South American community behave differently. I think it is because, the consumption patterns. Here in South America, we pretty much make things last. So Latin American won't go and change a fridge because it is 5 years old. There is a new fridge just goes went out in the market. No, they're gonna make that thing last. Where
Hmm.
in North America people are more,
Yeah.
they move,
Quick.
yeah, quicker with things. It's part of the culture, and you know it is more accessible, money wise, to get the
Hmm.
newer
Yeah.
things. Also, so because of that, I think there is less of a resistance to accept the newer things or even explore the newer things. Even the DIY culture, it is more prevalent in North America. So people modifying things, certain kind of things, at least, it is more common. In South America, these games are expensive. Not only the terrain, the miniatures, paraphernalia, but the books and the dice are really expensive. So people are going to make things last, and they're
Yeah.
not really going to be so much willing to try something new, to change things a bit, because it is more work, and they might need to buy another book to say improve the game or modernize it, however you want
Yeah.
to call it. So yeah, that is my take. I think that does play a part on that thing.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, you want it to last. Like you take so long even to use uh read it because it's in another language, which is you're not
Hmm.
so used to it. You have to basically translate the whole thing like in your mind, and then suddenly they make a new book and you're like, no, wait, I just
I
finished
just read
this.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. You have a fan in your house that is like 25 years old. You're not gonna find that thing, in the States or in Canada.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, pretty much moving off of that, what do you think that each of our communities can learn from each other? Since we already compared a few things, what do you
Hmm.
think that perhaps we as Latin America TTRPG community can offer to the North Americans,
And vice
and
versa.
yeah, exactly, and what can they uh, teach us, or what can we learn from them too?
Um, Yeah, well, I feel like what you just said about how we like the whole changes aren't made
Hmm.
from our community. They're kind of like exported over to here,
Yeah.
and we have to accept it. Actually, trying to create communities over here would be a very good idea and to be heard. There is actually people from here. There's a friend from Mexico who was well, he's not a friend, but I want him to be my friend. Who was
It will
in the
happen.
making of the Candlekeep Mysteries, a newer
Hmm.
book of
Ooh, nice, nice.
Dungeons and Dragons, and like that tells me we can do that. Like we can get people from around the world to get their own vision and to get their own proposals into the game, so a lot of more people can feel like identified with the product and kind of like and with all the products because there's different systems, right? Like everybody should try to get them out to see how they work in other communities and kind of how they can propose new things for the games and change them. So that could be a very good idea for like something that both sides could learn from each other.
Okay, okay.
Right.
Uh,
Do you
what
want to add
do I
something?
want to add something? Well, um, no, I think that is pretty much like communities should really engage together and like really learn from each other in that sense. I do feel because of certain products I have seen, focus on Latin America, like the how they are how we are portrayed, how the Latin American culture is portrayed in certain games.
Oh yeah.
Um, yeah, it's pretty much like okay, this is like this I don't know, like a vacation spot for adventuring. So you go there, you're gonna have this really unique experience, but it doesn't really work once you leave it to work on itself. Like it is out there in the world and it doesn't really work. And it is not veridical, I guess. That's a word. So um yeah, I guess that some content creators up north, well, I am actually up north right now, should really engage more with that community
Mm-hmm.
so the representation is better.
Hmm.
I there is so much being done and being said about good representation and good portrayal of people. Say some for example, the Asian community has been mentioned recently, and there is some improvement
Mm-hmm.
being done, which is amazing. um all these discussions about like people of color in fantasy, that's amazing. But I feel as a Latin American that, well, we are pretty much out of the picture. I don't know if it is because the market here is not as, it doesn't maybe sell as much, so there is no point in like catering to us and having that part. But come on, have that discussion.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a bit it's a bit odd because sometimes when when you do get the representation that you mentioned, it's usually not well researched,
Yeah,
or it comes from
stereotypes.
someone who isn't very familiar with with all the people, and maybe mixes it all together and thinks it's all Latin American culture. It's like as if it was like a thing.
Yeah.
As
Yeah,
all of Latin America had one culture, it
yeah,
doesn't really
yeah. That is pretty much
work
what
that way.
happens. I think that is pretty much what happens with like pretty every other non-dominant culture or
Yeah,
non-European culture, at least in fantasy. But at least they have some, something is being done for them, and not for us. And I know we have to do it ourselves, but I don't know. I don't really see that much representation that I have at least noticed in the medium. On the other side, I do think, as Latin Americans can learn from, let's say, northern countries, to be more engaged with the industry and to
Hmm.
consume more. There is this big problem in Latin
and to
America.
pay for things.
Sorry.
To pay for
Yes,
things.
that's what I was gonna say. There is this big problem in Latin America with piracy. I understand where it comes from, but if you have to start like that, you know, you do you,
Yeah,
it happens, but give back to the hobby, really. Like, if you
yeah,
want things to be better,
it's for the best.
yeah, if you want the communities to
Hmm.
grow, if you want, them to thrive, if you want to get more access to things, you gotta do the thing. You're gonna
Yeah,
put
Yeah.
money. So, be more engaged with the industry and do give back. I think, we can learn that from North America.
Hmm.
Yeah, the North American industry.
And I feel like you can also learn a lot about them from their like entrepreneur uh
hmm,
spirit. Like a lot of
yeah,
people are like, yeah, I have an idea and I'm of a TTRPG and I'm gonna do it, and they just do it. And that, like, at least here in Mexico, is like, what? Why? You're not a professional. You have to be a professional first. And
yeah.
it's usually like, why do you want to compete with the big brands and no, you're not never going to make it? Whereas over there is more like, yes, I have done this and it's so cool and I'm going to show them around. Like from people where I live, usually my friends and family are like, so what do you do again? And I'm like, I do this and this for this. And oh, why don't you like make papercraft for like birthdays and stuff like that? I'm sure they will sell better. And I'm like, no, it's a market,
It's
it's a
not what I
thing.
want.
I yeah.
Oh,
And I
yeah,
like it so much, and it's I have a reason. But they
Yeah,
just don't
exactly.
see it, and they just are afraid of you know doing their own thing. And I feel like we could learn from a lot of people from the United
Yeah,
States that they're like, no, I want this to exist, so I'm going to do it myself.
yeah,
Because over
yeah,
here, yeah, it's
and that goes that goes doubly for down here, because usually people I get the feeling that that a lot of people don't look outside of the big main games
hmm
that everyone plays, that people introduce them to. Why do I say that? Because if you start looking into indie games and that sort of thing, you start realizing that you don't have to be a professional to make
hmm
your own game. You really don't have to be anything special to do something great.
yeah.
Um, it's all, of course, you're going to learn. It's going to be some work. You're going to have to put the work,
hmm
but it's possible. Like
yeah,
yeah,
it's not like something you have to, I don't know, go to school for or practice for 10 years,
you ever
stuff
have a
like that.
license or something? Yeah,
Yeah,
sometimes
exactly.
people are like, very perfectionist with that because they
Mm.
want to compete like with like when they whenever they say compete internationally, they think like they need to have the top everything. And
Hmm.
it's a good way of thinking, but it's a bad
Bad
attitude to
way.
have because
Yeah,
yeah.
because you don't do anything.
Exactly.
You end up not taking the steps forward because you're
Hmm.
like, okay, I'm not gonna be able to compete in that sphere. But then look for a smaller sphere that you can
Hmm.
maybe excel
Exactly.
at, and then you start making the jumps.
Exactly.
It's
Like
it's a way
mhm.
of seeing it. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so now, since we entered, the product or content creation discussion, what can you tell us about your journey creating, RPG products? Um, ba-
Mhm.
um, Based on your
So
experience, what kind,
mhm.
the craft as well, like building things that you need to do for other people.
Yeah, basically, this is the part where you tell us your life story.
All
Yeah.
right. My life story. It's funny because I didn't study design at all.
Yeah,
So I started. Well, I've had drawn since I was like 11, 9.
hmm
Very very little, and I always wanted to do something with it. But because Mexico, the developing country, they usually tell you no, don't do arts because you're
yeah,
gonna starve.
yeah.
And I was like, okay, fine. I have the brains for science, and I studied chemical engineering. And to my horrible surprise, it wasn't as life changing. Like it wasn't the solution everybody thought it was. Everybody's like, yes, be an engineer, you're gonna be rich, and it's like no, because
No, it
competition
doesn't
right
work
now,
that way.
yeah, it's
It's
so
tough.
big.
Yeah. Hmm.
And unfortunately, being a girl is also a very big problem whenever
Yeah.
you want to get into a lab,
Yeah, this STEM.
like a
STEM. Yeah.
laboratory work, because there's still like the stigma that girls shouldn't be there, or
Stigma.
I actually remember one girl when it was a woman interviewing me, and she was like, "Oh, we were looking for a man," and I was like, "Well, you haven't even asked my name," and
Literally.
and I am a strong woman. I can lift that cooler right now. She was like, "No, but you're going to have to lift like sacks of material," and I was like,
Hmm.
but I can do it. No, we were looking for a man, so thank you for coming. I was like, I was like, what does
Wait.
lifting
What?
sacks has to do with science? Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Nothing. What? Why didn't they put that in the job description? If they were,
Because it's kind of legal.
no, I,
Mm,
I
I
I
mean,
guess.
yeah. I mean, it's
yeah,
illegal for a reason, but okay.
Yeah.
I'm not here to rant so much, but
so much.
but yeah.
I mean, it gives us a perspective because
Mhm,
why did you decide to go through this path, and
mhm.
more than that, it's uh, how how did you get the motivation to take that big step to stop trying to do what you were told you had to do,
Uh-huh.
and how did you start doing what you loved or what you wanted to do?
All right. So like with everything I like, because I like many things, but I like
Hmm.
the creation part. Like I like coming up with stuff, kind of having to, you know, come up with things of how things should work, how things should change, how to design things kind of to
Hmm.
get to a certain result.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the thing I wanted with the science part, creating new products was kind of my dream job. But with the whole thing of no, I actually wasn't bright enough to be an engineer. So also I couldn't get into a lot of places because my scores weren't that high.
Hmm.
So I was kind of stuck in this place where either you were a salesperson, like customer service or sales. And I was like, okay, I'll check it out. And I actually went through both through both
Streams.
yeah, both
Yeah.
things. And I was in my third year of customer service, and I was sighing out loud. What am I doing here? Like, I'm sure everybody heard me that time because I was like, no, what am I doing here? I was so frustrated with life. I got depressed. Like, I literally got depression and had to take, happy pills for it and stuff. So I kind of thought, this is not working. Clearly, I'm not happy. And I said, no, I'm going to try for a year to be an illustrator. Like I wanted when I was 11 years old. I wanted to make comics. I still want to make comics, but it's a bit yeah, it's a bit tricky because it's so much work, and
I have to learn a lot.
Yeah. So I put the illustration, I started learning again the whole thing. I started actually learning design because I didn't know a lot of basics like composition, color, stuff like that. I took classes online. I basically just took a year off the office. And when I looked and I was, I wasn't making any money. I was basically just, living with super scared that I wasn't going to be able to pay all the bills. And I was still so much happier than when I was in the office. So I was like, no, okay, yes, this is what I should be doing. And
that's a good perspective, actually.
Yeah.
Because if because that the thing with the bills and all of that is its own kind of anxiety. Even if with that kind of anxiety, you're still happier and you're still feeling better than working and having that security there. That's a sign that you are on the right track at the very least.
Yes, exactly. I was like, yes, okay, let's try another year. So that year I started making, tried to get more into Dungeons and Dragons because we started playing a year before that. That's kind of and I said, well, I can make playable characters and stuff like that. I've seen a lot of people ask for that. So I started, kind of advertising for it. I made little drawings of cutesy monsters, stuff like that. And then I was like, oh, maybe I could try a few paper crafts and kind of show them around. And maybe, that thing with the trees, the problem I had with the trees in a long session ago. Yeah. And my cat, that actually died in the end. I said, maybe I can do something like that. And, kind of like, dinero para chicles, like money for any like sweets or stuff.
Thing. Pocket change.
Pocket change. That's the
term.
The thing I was looking for. Yeah, the term. So I said, okay, let's do a Patreon where I say, because my Patreon was, just drawings, but nobody was in it except like my boyfriend and a few friends. So I was like, okay, I'm going to change it to like Papercraft that I can do sparingly. And let's see if somebody kind of likes it. And I made tabs, like paper tabs for the main, like the core books of Dungeons and Dragons, and posted it on Reddit. And I got 8K likes on it, like 8K upvotes. Okay. And from one day to another, I had 40 people in my Patreon. And I was like, what?
Amazing.
Okay.
Yeah. I was like, I have nothing to show. Why are you here?
They trusted you.
Yeah, basically.
So that was basically the start, like the kickstart of the whole enterprise.
Yeah, because I had people now to give things that I had promised.
So you worked hard, and did you deliver? That's it.
Yeah, that was a year ago, and a bit more than a year ago, and I haven't missed a month. Well, without pausing the Patreon, because there were a few months that were a bit heavy for me. But it has been like a whole year, and I feel like it's getting much better every set. I feel like it looks better than the last, and I'm very happy.
And now how from 40 to how many now?
Oh, 60.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, it's more. It's an
Yeah.
Yeah,
increase,
I mean, it
but
wasn't like such a boom, but in for a year. But I kind of had a big start, so it's
yeah,
okay. Uh-huh.
yeah, it's okay. And I mean, it only gets better from there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because word of mouth is a powerful thing in this sort of
Yeah.
um, in this sort of what environment, I guess.
Yeah, this
Uh,
community. Uh-huh.
yeah,
Okay,
community.
so but I have a question, like, from that, how does that terrain and all that crap has helped you or improve your sessions? And based on that, and maybe seeing what your patrons are doing with your products, what do you think, craft, even by people doing DIY in their houses or with your products or similar ones, what does that gives to the game? What
Add,
yeah,
yeah.
what does it
What
adds
does it add
to
to
the
the
game?
experience?
Yeah.
Okay. So I have seen a lot of people say they like making the crafts because it kind of makes it like relaxes them. It's kind of like
Hmm.
a bit of a therapeutic kind of
Yeah.
craft for them, and knowing they will actually use them to play with their friends, it's kind of like motivating for them.
Hmm.
I actually have a friend that mixes it with other assets he has, and with that he has realized that he loves making like having like a map with little assets on top instead of whole you know uh, sets and
Flat. Oh,
yeah, flat
right.
mat or map or the whole biomes things, like with a
Hmm.
lot of
With
things.
the with the walls and all that stuff.
Exactly. Yeah, like he
Um,
has kind of discovered his
mhm.
DMing style with it, and
And
it's so
that's
fun
That's
to use.
nice.
nice.
That's
That's
amazing.
nice.
Hmm.
And now that you mentioned like relaxation and all that, I think that it also helps. Um, Sometimes, well, I mean that might be that might just be my experience, but sometimes when you are about to run a game, you sometimes worry about how you're going to be able to maybe describe things, or
Hmm.
if you're going to be able to convey what's on your mind to your players. And I think that preparing, when you are doing preparation and when you're preparing things, it helps set your mind at ease. So when people are building the assets, as you call them, the assets for the game, I'm pretty sure that that will help. That probably helps them um, really make sure that what they are thinking is going to be what the players experience, right?
Hmm. Yeah,
And
they have a
that,
much a better visual aid for the whole.
yeah,
Hmm.
and that mentally helps you uh, get over some of that pre-game anxiety, because of course the game is supposed to be fun and we all have fun doing it, but at least I don't know if it's everyone, but I like when the players have a good time, and I worry that the players are not going to have a good time. So yeah, that's something that happens. And
Hmm.
um, before we move on, I actually want to ask something. Um, First off, what do you think of the well, probably recent um, method of building assets by 3D printing? Have you ever thought about it, or perhaps how do you deal with I don't know, competition uh,
Well,
from people
uh-huh.
who do that sort of thing?
So, for starter, 3D printing is much more expensive. Even if you have a printer, the resin, just like one bottle, 1 liter, is like $50. So it's the whole experimentation of how it works and if it's going to
Mhm,
come out like you want. You have to have like a lot of experience to make a good piece, like for it
mhm,
to end well enough, good enough to use it. And it actually takes hours to print, like hours.
One single thing.
Yeah. So it is a good option to,
Hmm.
buying something that is already made. It might be a better option if you want something super customized. If you want something kind of basic, it might be better to actually, go and buy kind of like something that is already done.
Yeah, some
Uh-huh.
I don't know, action figures, dolls, whatever.
Uh-huh. But like it is a whole different market that what I do, because there is no assembly. You don't have
Hmm.
to make it. You just have to, like, get the
Print it.
model and slice it, send it to the printer, and wait.
Mhm. Yeah.
So so it is a very different market, because it's not very much like crafting. They usually like to paint them, but
Hmm.
it's not very much like, build. And with my Papercraft, you also have the files, like you have them for life, and you print as many as you need for whatever you need. So it's very quick. The only thing you have to do is actually build them, which can take, hours as well. But a whole set will take like 8 hours maybe, and that's kind of the same thing a big piece would take printing. So yeah, it's
Okay.
Yeah.
kind of like, how much you need it, when do you need it, how much you need it. If you need a lot, if you don't need a lot,
Hmm.
if you
Okay.
actually like the cutesy style as well. So yeah, it's I actually
And
Okay.
maybe your crafting skills too,
Yeah.
yes, as
because
well.
Also, what about
if the
what
if the
about
computer does
storage?
everything.
I'm sorry.
What about storage? Because usually with miniatures, being war games or just for role playing games, you have to
Hmm.
store them somewhere, and I think that
Hmm.
the plastic ones they do in these like foam, um I don't know, special things. They have like these special cases made of foam, so
Hmm.
the,
Hmm.
the paint doesn't like scratch. There is no scratching, and they are divided. How do people store the paper crafts, terrain, because it is more delicate.
Hmm.
Oh,
Yeah.
storage.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yes,
storage.
yeah.
Well, basically, you should store it inside a box and kind of leave it there. It is more delicate, but because it's also paper, it can be a bit like disposable, and like
Hmm.
if something happens to it, you can
You
just
can
make
print
more,
it again. Yeah.
and do another. But yeah, I have stored a few paper crafts myself, and they hold on well if you are in a place that it's not very humid,
Hmm.
and you just put them in a box and kind of put them away from you know anything that could be dust and stuff like that,
Okay.
or the sun. Direct sunlight is also very bad for prints.
Okay. Okay. Good to know.
That's good to know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 I think people might want to know that. Okay. So I think that is well, almost pretty much everything we have planned for today.
Yeah.
So there is a wild card for you if you want to ask us anything.
Do you want to ask us anything, or do you want to say anything? Maybe some topic you wanted to talk about.
um well, I I don't know. One second, 'cause
That's okay.
I mean, it's if you want. It's not
uh-huh.
it's not like a requirement or anything.
All right. Well, I'm not sure. Would you be interested in a podcast that is in Spanish? I'm sorry, just trying to plug in another project I have. But yeah.
But no,
Yeah.
Um,
yeah,
Yeah.
sure, go ahead.
Absolutely.
oh well. Well, I'm working with a few friends that we all studied voice acting,
Mhm.
and
Nice.
Oh, you studied
yeah,
voice acting.
yeah, yeah. While I was trying to decide what I was doing with my life, I also studied voice acting, and it
Interesting.
was super fun, super fun.
I can
But
imagine.
the competition on that
It's really
market
tough. I can imagine.
is horrible. Yeah. So like imagine.
Particularly in Mexico,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
I'm
You have
pretty
all
sure
the
that
yeah. You have the big names there.
you have
Hmm.
big names, and much of the dubbing industry
For
takes a lot
Hmm.
Spanish.
of,
For
of
Spanish.
Mexican actors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. kind of the whole idea of neutral Spanish or whatever. But yeah, it's a bit. It's tough because over here, if you want to start trying to get jobs, you have to do the same as when chefs try to start, studying cooking. They would be
Mhm.
around restaurants, kind of waiting for somebody to need a potato peeler, and they would be peeling potatoes until somebody was like, "Okay, I'm going to teach you how to cook." It's basically the same, but instead of that, you're around the studios waiting for somebody to need, baker number 3, and okay, you're going to do baker number 3, and this is your line, and it's like a hello, and if they
Mhm.
don't do it right, it's like no, back to the line, and it's
Yeah,
5 other people. They are just waiting to take that
Okay, that
five
sounds
minutes,
that
five
sounds really
second.
rough. Yeah, it
Yeah.
sounds really rough.
So yeah, I was like, okay, I like it, but I'm not gonna make it there. So let's
Yeah.
just do something else with that. So
Well, at least
yeah,
you found something that you actually made it in.
yeah, and I had said okay, maybe I can use it to make a Dungeons and Dragons actual
Podcast.
play podcast. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's basically what I'm going
I
to
mean
do
that's
next.
what American voice actors are doing these days.
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody has it tough with voice acting because it's not like super common to it.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
yeah, it's so it's very interesting project I'm working on as well.
And what's the name?
So it's gonna be called Girls Tavern, but we
Okay.
still don't have any socials or anything. We're just like getting everything
Okay.
ready.
okay. Yeah,
Well, whenever you have all that stuff ready, you can send us the link, and we will put it in the description as well.
that's pretty much everything. Thank you for coming. 'Cause the woodcarver questioned the grandcrafter, and he got some some intel. He got some advice, to improve his craft and get some more clients. So the summoner managed to close the portal, and they went their separate ways. And the grandcrafter, well, they went to the realm and keep crafting. Thank you for joining us in this new section of the channel.
Thank you.
We will be bringing more amazing guests in the future, once a month. That is pretty much, this section is going to be once a
The
month
plan.
videos because of the complexity of bringing in guests. So yeah, we do have plans on bringing in content creators, bestsellers on the DMs Guild, writers, community builders, game designers. So yeah, do subscribe and keep in tune. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.